Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jabroni Drive. On this week's episode, Liv Morgan Dirty Dom, the attack on Strowman, Gable, Sami, Otis, AJ Styles, Paul Heyman, and so much more. Will this be the greatest episode of Jabroni Drive yet? I think so. Timmy, what do you got to say to all the Schmidt-Lavelle-ites out there?
Tommy, I think this episode is going to be just when you listen to Jabroni Drive, everyone knows that you're a jabroni.
I love it. Jabroni Drive starts now.
You love it. You love it.
Welcome to another episode of Jabroni Drive. My name's Tom Lavelle. As always, I'm accompanied by Mr. Timothy Schmidt.
Hey guys,
We're talking
Tim Schmidt.
Tim Schmidt here. We're talking everything professional wrestling, and particularly WWE. We got a lot to cover this week, so let's get right to it. Timmy, big episode this past Friday on SmackDown, where we had a major announcement by Mr. AJ Styles. They set this up well. They brought it up. He's wearing the baby blue suit jacket. He talks to Nick Aldis before he goes out. He goes out there. He's joined by the Good Brothers, talking about how much they've been together, been through, whatever the future may hold. Out comes Cody Rhodes. They're hugging, they're yucking, he's raising his hands. The fans are cheering. AJ Styles, what a career. He's announcing his retirement. Lo and behold, he was lying the whole time. He turns on Cody, he attacks him, and gives what was one of the most vicious Styles clashes I've ever seen. Timmy, what did you think of this segment? What did you think of what AJ did here and the WWE decided to do, and where this feud is headed? Another match set up for Clash at the Castle with AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes.
Here's the thing, right? So I think that the Cody Rhodes, the AJ Styles match that we previously saw was excellent. I thought it was a really, really good match. And I do really feel like it deserved a second look at, right? Like to the point where, like, I didn't watch it and go like, yeah, that needs a rematch. I watched it, and just like everyone else, I gave you my instant reaction. And then afterwards, I'm like, all right, well, who's he going to wrestle next? And I didn't really have like a great direction. And I think that's the same way that the WWE treated it. Like, all right, where are we going to go with Cody now? And I thought the easy choice was to go back to AJ Styles because they work so well together. And why not, right? Like it kind of fit perfectly too. And like this is what I'm going to say, right? So I'm never going to trust anything that's on the internet, I think, ever again, because like it's like you saw all the internet rumors swirling. We've seen them for like the last probably 3 months about AJ Styles and how he's like retiring and he's thinking about like kind of like he's at the end of his career and all that stuff. And the greatest thing about what's going on in WWE is that they're so in tune to everything that's going on, right? Like they are listening and they are seeing and they are acting on everything, which is incredible because I think the ultimate goal is to entertain the fans, Tom, and create great storylines. And they're adapting these storylines. I'm not saying that the fans are dictating how they tell the stories, right? But they certainly are listening to them. They
Right.
certainly are, and you'll see that in the Rock and the Cody Rhodes documentary that's coming out. Right, you'll see that because they are a
They're willing
powerful
to
voice.
pivot.
Yeah, and if it works, right? If it works, like they're not going to just like look. If they were just going to run the same play that the fans want you to run, like there's no way that the business would work that way, right? Like it's not going to work that way. But I really feel like what was set up here with like AJ Styles and with Cody Rhodes is a good spot. I love what they did with feeding into. So that's kind of where I was getting to is like feeding into that whole retirement thing that was all over the internet, right? And you saw it in the beginning episode, like I knew it right away. I'm like, this is not a retirement. Like, there's no way he's retiring.
I agree. I didn't buy it either. I really
No,
didn't.
no one did.
I thought it was a good segment, but I didn't think he was ever retiring.
Yeah, yeah. And I felt the same way. Like, I felt like it was a really good segment. I felt like it was the best that AJ Styles has given on the mic since I've been watching again, which has been now over a year and a half now.
Right.
So
Because there was some sincerity there, there was some emotion, but it like I never once thought, okay, AJ Styles is done.
yeah,
I didn't buy that for a second.
no. And I just it's really cool to see this kind of play in fruition, like play into our hands here with Cody and AJ. And like, you don't think that AJ is going to take that title, but my God, like they were so good in that first matchup that you would love to see a second, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And where this story can go and you know, I I guess we're gonna talk about more of that later, but here we have another rematch coming where you wonder, can these people like can AJ Styles say I would have to say he loses. I don't see him winning the title.
Mm-mm.
Where where's after this is done, where does AJ Styles go? It's an interesting kind of problem. It's like, okay, he's being showcased now. This will be the second PLE that he'll main event, and where does he go if he loses again? Is it just back to the back of the line, or is there somehow do they have a way of keeping him relevant in the title chase?
That's a tough thing to answer, Tom, because there are so many different horses that are in that chase right now, right? And
Right.
it's like, where does he fit in? Um, I mean, he fits in. It's just a matter of like, do you want to strap him or not? Right? It's like, where is he that relevant enough that you're going to be able to put the belt on him? And I don't think so. Um, I think there's got to be a bigger end result with like a bigger star. Not that AJ Styles isn't the bigger star. I just think there's got to be bigger, right? Like Cody Rhodes is white hot right now, right?
Yeah.
Like there's got to be someone that's gonna like the dude that I have in mind. I'm sure you have in mind is Gunther, right? Like he's probably his star is hotter than anyone's in the WWE right now. Drew is another guy like CM Punk, even though he hasn't wrestled. I know you hate him. Um, he's still a guy that has that white hot star no matter what he does. He's still a relevant like number one guy.
And those are raw guys. Like, who's the SmackDown guy that could take an undisputed title? I know it's like,
Roman Reigns.
yeah, Roman is like, is there anyone else that is up there? I mean, AJ and Orton is another one, Randy Orton, and is KO on that level? I mean, they're not going to strap KO.
Um, I don't
Plus, he's a
see that.
good guy.
I just don't see that program for KO right now. I think he's doing like isn't he still like doing that KO with the Logan Paul stuff? Is he still kind of involved with that?
He's with the bloodline now, the Tongaloa,
Oh yeah, Tongalo, yeah,
and we're
yeah.
gonna get to that. Actually, let's just get to that now. Out comes KO, and he's talking about Randy Orton, how he's gonna have Randy Orton's back in this attack with the bloodline, and Paul Heyman comes out and delivers, he's just the best, talking about he's pleading with someone, with anyone, and in this case, Kevin Owens, to listen to him that this isn't the same bloodline. These aren't the same. This isn't what we had before. This is more dangerous. These are thugs. These are guys that aren't necessarily loved by the bloodline, and they're in charge now, and he can't stop what they're going to do. So do not provoke these animals out here that are going to attack. And it was pretty interesting how they're building this. I guess I just wanted to note it. I'm not sure exactly where this goes. I think it eventually leads to when Roman comes back and that kind of feud between the new bloodline and the old bloodline. But it's it's the layers are being built, the depth in this storyline is being built. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to say about that, but on off the top of my head, I can't think of someone that is at a level to challenge Cody Rhodes. We had Logan Paul challenge, but he has the United States title. Kevin Owens, I don't think it's is a good fit because they're kind of boys and KO's a good guy. Randy Orton, there's a lot of history there. That would be a high marquee matchup that you have there. AJ Styles is there, and it's great to have a wrestler like an AJ Styles that you can put in a main event and it still holds that power, that draw. He has that, but he just doesn't have enough, I think, to carry that to dethrone Cody, especially if history is repeating itself. The long runs that they've had recently in the WWE with the belts, it would kind of be a shock to me to see Cody lose it before SummerSlam. So I
You,
can't name another. I mean, Bobby Lashley you could throw into that mix, but
no,
I don't know what they're doing there.
it would be interesting. Um, and I forget where he got drafted to because I think it's irrelevant. But there's a guy that's on the IR right now that recently lost his title that has a lot of history with Cody Rhodes, and that's Seth freaking Rollins.
That's true. I don't remember where he was drafted either. If he was because of his injury, he might not have been drafted. But
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if the world. I mean, look, Seth and Cody is an all timer. It's been an all time. It's already been documented, like the Dusty thing and all that kind of tied into it, and like there's so much history there. Like you can have like an all like this could be like an all time like rival between them two
right,
over the years. Like you're talking. I mean, uh, I, I mean, who else? Like HBK, like Bret Hart type thing, right? Like
yeah.
or
I mean, it's a big rivalry. Like I don't know. I would
not
say Seth and
not
Roman
saying
is bigger.
right. No, no, I'm not I'm just saying like in terms of
It's a
like
big rivalry. That's a matchup you could
storytelling,
see. Yeah,
right? Like dude, he comes back and he beats Cody or well Cody beats him 3 times in a row. Like
right.
that's like there's got to be some retribution there, right? Like hey, like I got you at some point coming back, right? Like there's got to be some sort of like payoff for that, right? Like in my opinion, like in the wrestling world, if I'm if I'm Seth, I go, dude, like yeah, I'll do this for you no matter what. Like you're a big star. I'm gonna come you come into WWE, I'm gonna put you over no matter what. The whole, you know, torn torn pectoral thing, like that was a huge like that he didn't have to take it off there at all. Like he could
Yeah,
have I'm just saying, like, I think that at some point there's gotta be some sort of retribution that comes back, like where Cody pays that back and It could be in the form of a world title run, maybe. I don't know.
Two names that we didn't mention yet that also have been away. The Rock, maybe we see that come up sooner than later and build towards a SummerSlam match, Cody versus The Rock, that had been mentioned in the past. And then maybe this is where we get the interference with Uncle Howdy, and maybe they put Uncle Howdy right into a storyline with Cody.
Yeah, they're shoving that down our throat right now, and
It better deliver. It's
I
it's it's really setting them up to not deliver
yeah,
and be underwhelming. So it's going to be hard to live up to all the QR codes and other stuff that they've done to actually have it feel real and like a holy shit moment.
I'm also there's a lot of rumors talking about a possible Goldberg comeback, and I wouldn't mind Goldberg taking over the world heavyweight title or even the United or the undisputed title for like I don't know, like a 2 month span, just kind of like as a holdover.
You're so full of crap, dude. I'm like Goldberg. All right. So it was an entertaining SmackDown, and what's really cool is there's a lot of different storylines that they have going on right now and that they're building, and some of them are really getting hot. And speaking of hot, I mean, we need to mention the Liv Morgan, Dirty Dom, Rhea Ripley, Judgment Day storyline going on right now. In the last couple of weeks, I've brought up how Liv doesn't seem to fully know who she wants to be. Now, winning the title and then defending that title and the kiss heard round the world, the most viewed video in recent memory on WWE, which is a huge thing that they totally take stock in. And when they're talking about who can move the needle and who's going to get the views and who's going to do this and that, for Liv Morgan to now have that kind of as a trophy to show, look at the eyes that I brought to this product with my segment that I was a main part of. After this week, it really seems to me like Liv Morgan is fully in the correct spot. She's playing this character and it comes off very natural, and she nailed it these last the end of Raw last week and then this whole episode of Raw. I mean, she is white hot, super hot, smoking hot. The whole thing seducing Dom on TV. It is she's just incredible, and it's really a home run this week. And the storyline with her trying to take Dom for when Rhea comes back and their history. Now, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley were women's tag team champions not too long ago, and were good friends not too long ago. And that all ties into this story. There's many layers to this story. Obviously, they both injured each other. Rhea took out Liv. Liv took out Rhea, all of that. Now Dom is thrown into the mix. What's he going to do? I'm loving this storyline. I'm loving Liv's character and where this is headed. I don't know
There's
if you have
point.
anything to say about that.
No, there's
And
point.
I
There's
want to
point.
ask you one thing. What do you think of is another member of the Judgment Day involved in this? Is Finn Balor, is there a twist with him involved in this too? There's been some rumors of that you see.
Well, the rumors are straight from the HJB. The HJB has a feeling that Finn Balor might be the actual culprit in this whole situation, which would kind of make sense. I do really appreciate the storyline that's going on between Liv and Dom and like the whole Judgment Day situation. She is really delivered on a different level in a situation where I'm documented as saying like I didn't think she was ready. I didn't think that she had the character really to carry this thing. And kudos to the WWE talent and creative to really give her something to work with instead of just kind of hey, like you're the number one contender, let's throw you out there. And this is what storytelling does for a character, really, is like, hey, give her a storyline, put her into like something that's really like that has meaning, right? And let's see how it plays out. And now like she's involved with Dom, who essentially is the biggest heel in the business. Um,
He's been
and
incredible too in this whole. I mean, he's been incredible
yeah,
this whole run.
yeah, and they put the belt on her after Becky drops it last week, and it's like almost to the point where like it's a happenstance, but like you don't even think about like how she has been in the ring because like it's almost like a non-factor almost, right?
And
Like
Dom
because
has been injured. He hasn't even wrestled.
yeah, so you're so involved in this
Two people
storyline.
that aren't even really. You're not even caring about what's going on in the ring.
Yeah, and it's
That's
like
funny.
wow. Yeah, it's something that just kind of goes out of sight, out of mind, and you just are really more invested in this storyline. So, she's done a great job. She's carried herself really well. She's done really decent in the ring. Like she hasn't been disappointing. There's nothing that really like sticks out that like she's like, I mean, like her matches haven't been like excellent, but like they've been okay.
Right. It's nothing
Um,
that you look at and you're like, that was awful. But it's nothing that you look at and you say that was great. It's very middle of the road in the ring. It's good. It's
like
good.
the only thing is like, look, they kept that belt on Io Sky for like what 8 months, and she defended it maybe twice. Like you can do the same thing with Liv and like hide her defaults until mommy gets back, and then have like this just absolute annihilation of Liv if that's what they plan on doing, right? Like, um, in my opinion, I feel like we're seeing the crack in Judgment Day, and I feel like Judgment Day is about to end. I feel like it's just going to be absolute chaos here
Yeah.
in the near future. And like I do feel there is something with Finn Balor, as the HAB says. I feel like there's something there to that. I feel like Liv has kind of been very like calculated in the way she does things, right? On like on social media and stuff like that, where she's just planning things on herself, and like there's certain different situations where she's caught with like Dom where maybe things aren't as they seem. So
Right.
I think we'll see something come soon, but I think it's really fun. It's a fun angle.
Yeah. And so we loved what Liv's doing. This angle we both are saying is great. One thing, and I know we've gone at like talked about him a couple times these last couple weeks, and but again with Damien Priest, I felt like the match with him
Ugh.
and Ray was good, but at the end, I'm seeing these videos on social media, and he's holding up the belts and he's high-fiving fans and stuff like that, and it's to me, it's like who are you? Are you a good guy now? Are you a bad guy? Like, are you trying to be cool and liked, or are you trying to be disliked? Like, to me, he should be trying to be disliked, and he's trying to be like this cool, like Judgment Day leader that, listen, man, I'm like this and I'm good like this, blah blah blah, and like, he went, look at me and like high five, like, no, you're a heel, you're a bad guy, like where is this going? And I just noted that and I'm like, is he trying to be a baby face? Like I don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah. And that's about character direction too. It's like where do you want to be? Like where do you want to go? Like um there's certain guys that do this in the business and they end up without a job and they're in like a different federation or a different company or they're on the independent circuit, right? Like they don't know who they want to be. Um and I don't know, maybe this is something that like creative's telling him to do because like maybe there's a separation that's coming within Judgment Day. So is he trying this is part of the character? Like this is why like over the course now of like the last 3 months, I'm not buying anything because like everyone is doing their own thing. It feels like there's just so much more to wrestling than just what we see on television. It feels
Right.
like what they're putting out on social media is different, and it's like, yeah, you have to follow it all because it's like there's clues everywhere, right? There's like little. So
Little
I don't.
nuggets.
Yeah, I don't know, Tom. I really don't know if this is what he's trying to put out on purpose or if it's something that he's maybe making a mistake about. So
I honestly think it's just something that him and the WWE is kind of fumbling on. His direction is there's no clear direction for him
yeah,
as far as I see. Um, One last thing I want to talk about with the Judgment Day and this guy that I think is just when he's on TV, it's just a wow. His size, his ability, his strength, his speed. Braun Strowman, every time we see him on the TV, I love what he's been doing. But I want to talk about this beatdown that the Judgment Day put on him. I thought it was really well done by JD McDonough with the chair shots. And the chair shots to the leg, I thought was like, man, like I really think they're gonna hurt his knee the way that they were hitting that knee. It was like, whoa, this is pretty well done and good at selling that. I thought watching it, I was like, wow, that's impressive.
I laughed a little bit, Tom, because for the first time, Michael Cole said something about what was Braun Strowman's tagline? These
Get these
hands.
hands. Yeah.
So he mentioned that during the broadcast. He's like, "Oh, he's gonna get these hands," and I was like, "Oh my god!" They brought up
Just
that old tagline.
just get away from it.
But the
He's a
best,
big son of a bitch.
well, that's the best. Like
Yeah.
McAfee, look at this big says so son of a bitch.
He's got the shirt now too. It's a
It's
big
great.
SOB.
And it's great. And that's what he is. And that's what you should embrace. And he is an absolute monster. I would be disappointed if he's not part of Uncle Howdy's whole process there. I would be very disappointed because he was there in the beginning. He was part of that whole thing. If he's left out of that, I would be really disappointed.
Maybe he's someone that they go after, you know? I don't know.
Maybe.
That
Maybe,
would
but
be
I
interesting.
I just think that would be I would be disservice, like because he was originally part of that whole thing, right?
He was so, I mean, yes, but not really. He was like the second level of it. At first, it was Bray Wyatt with you know, the guy that I'm drawing a blank on their names right now, but there was two other guys, one that passed away, and I'm sorry for drawing a blank on his name, and Eric Rowan is the other one, the guy with the red hair. They were the original three, and it wasn't until about a year or so later that Strowman came in, and he was the black sheep. Eric Rowan used to wear a white sheep's mask, and the black sheep Braun Strowman came in not until maybe it might have even been a year and a half or 2 years later, but he came in later, and the way they built him was having him go against these kind of no names. They'd go from town to town and get a local indie wrestler and have him squash them, and they built and built and built and built, and eventually Strowman was good enough in like in ring and was very impressive. It was a good way to build him, and something that I thought was well done. And it kind of
Luke
reminds me of the
Luke
Bill
Harper.
Luke Harper. Thank you. So Luke Harper and RIP. Sorry, I feel bad that I forgot his name, but Luke Harper, and then Strowman came in later. But the build for Strowman back in the day is similar to that of what they're doing with Bron Breakker right now. And so I want to talk about Bron Breakker real quick. We've talked about him a lot. Super impressive, and he does it again. This match with Ricochet, it's similar to when a Logan Paul has a match, and it just seems like every time he has a match, there's something in it that you go, wow, or there's that viral moment that is like gets tons of views on their socials. And one, I think his mic skills are improving as well. I feel like I saw a promo with him talking about who he was and going after Ilya Dragunov, and I just thought the promo was done pretty well, and I'm seeing improvement not only on his character rank but his promos as well. And if he can improve those, he's going to be at the top very soon.
Yeah, he's an absolute force. There's nothing he feels like almost if I'm going to compare somebody, do you remember when Chris Jericho first came into the WWE
Yeah.
and like he was like kind of thrusted into that like spotlight? Feels very similar to that. Um, he doesn't have that showmanship that Jericho does, but he definitely has that cachet. But I feel like there's a lot like Ilya, like well,
He reminds me of a Goldberg when Goldberg
oh well,
came in.
yeah. No, I mean,
And I know the spear is something too,
I'm
but
I'm not talking about in terms of like his physical attributes. I'm just saying like in his aura,
yeah,
right? Like I feel like his aura is a little bit different. Like it doesn't remind me of Goldberg because Goldberg was just like this dude that came out and just absolutely wrecked shop and like just killed dudes left and right. And that was the way they set it up. Not that Bron Breakker isn't doing that. I just feel like he's this guy, right? Like so they brought up a couple other guys at the same time. They brought up Ilya right at the same time.
are you saying
Brought
like the biggest cachet guy from like NXT that's come up, like he holds the
right.
most weight from a guy that's
Yeah.
come up from the NXT? Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Kind of like when Jericho came over, he was a star in
Like
WCW, and
him,
it was wow, okay,
Benoit, like
right,
Dean Malenko, all these guys came over, right? But like the one guy that stood out between them all was Jericho.
right.
And it's the same way like with Bron Breakker, like and Ilya's been given a lot of camera time. He's been given a lot of like, hey, like and Mello, same way. Mello came up at the same time, right? Like all these guys have been given an opportunity, but Bron Breakker is the guy that you're like, whoa, holy shit. Like this dude is
Is a
delivering on
star.
every level. And you're like, all right, like, what do we got here? And I think they have something bigger than they actually thought it was going to be. That's my
And
opinion.
what are your thoughts? Like, speaking of Mello, a little fumble this week on SmackDown in his promo with LA Knight, and I'm liking that matchup. I'm also liking the announcement that it seems like LA Knight is going after Logan Paul, and I think we're going to be building to that match at SummerSlam.
Yep.
But showing a little bit of his rookie status and going against a seasoned vet like LA Knight on the microphone, probably the toughest, what if not the toughest, one of the toughest people to go back and forth with in a promo on a microphone because LA Knight just he doesn't miss. He I mean no pun intended, but he like he'll kill you on the microphone if you fumble a little bit and Mello fumbles and Knight just nails him and is like, then
Which
I'd be
is
looking in the mirror, like, oh, what do you mean? Let's get our names right if we're up here and stuff like that. And I just feel like Carmelo Hayes has been built as this is nice, but I just don't, and I know it's very early, but I never really bought into him as much as a Bron Breakker. And same with Ilya. I don't really buy into Ilya that much either. I think they're both very good and there's potential there, but they're just not on that level yet that I'm really buying into. Ilya's stuff I just don't really care for, and I think that Carmelo Hayes is kind of like he's trying to be something.
right. Yeah, and I want to like kind of comment on what you're saying about LA Knight because this kind of brings me back to an earlier show that we did, Tom, about how nervous we were about LA Knight on the mic with the Miz. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like
Oh
where
yeah.
we're like, dude, they're putting him in programs with guys that can really like throw in the mic. And how is he going to handle himself, right? And like we were concerned about like how is he going to present himself on the mic? Is he going to be able to go back and forth with the Miz. And now look at us now, right? Not
Right.
us, but like look at LA Knight now, who's absolutely dressing down a rookie for making a mistake on the mic, and not dressing him down like to the point where like he kills him, but like he's kind of correcting him and getting him back on course. Like, but at the same time, letting him know that he made a mistake. Like, what do you mean, LA Knight? I'm LA Knight. What am I going to be talking to myself in the mirror? Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
it
Get your
was, it
name
was,
right.
yeah. And like Mello could have absolutely melted down, and he recovered. He
I
did a
thought he
nice,
recovered well,
yeah.
and it wasn't like, you know, and when something like that happens, and they talk about this in theater all the time, and I guess it's a similar level, you should point it out because everyone sees it, and pointing it out makes it go. I mean, LA could have totally just passed over it, but that's not the game in WWE. The game is it's cutthroat. And it's the best is gonna show out, and if he's got to show, hey, I'm still the best on this microphone, then so be it, so he can get
Yeah.
his push that he still deserves.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I love the whole like again, dude. LA Knight is so still white hot, dude. It's crazy that he still has that cachet for forever. We're like, I don't know if it's gonna hold up, and my God, has it held up? And it's delivered more than we thought it was going to, Tom.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe Uncle Howdy is going at him. It's something that you could do maybe and help build LA Knight even into more of a baby face if he has to go over this insurmountable gang of.
All right, so let me can we get into the Uncle Howdy stuff? Can I get into it a little
Yeah,
bit?
go for it.
All right, so like all right, ready? I'm going to compare it to this. Okay. So you go into a bar, Tom, right? It's 2024. You walk up to the bar and you go, "How you doing? Hey, what's going on?" And they go, "What's on tap?" And they go, "Hey, yeah, the QR code's right here on the table." And you have to scan the QR code to see what's actually on tap or see the menu. Like, this is what I feel like the WWE is doing wrong, right? Like, it's cute what they're doing with the QR codes, but like, none of us really know what actually is going on, right? Like, we don't see it on WWE TV. Like, we don't see it on Raw. We don't see it on SmackDown. We see the QR codes, and that's it. Like, why are we not seeing like any of the videos like on Raw, any of the videos on SmackDown? Like, why do we have to go through a QR code to actually figure out what's going on? And I think that's what they're really going to lose in this whole situation where it's going to miss because I don't think like, yeah, it's getting posted on Twitter and people see it then, but like there's just not an investment really. Like I know that they're playing the music. You heard the music when you were at WrestleMania,
Yes.
the Raw at the WrestleMania. You heard that, you experienced that. Like not everyone's experiencing the same things, and I really think it's going to be a hard thing when it all comes together and finally delivers. And I think it's going to get mixed reviews because I feel like the same message isn't being received across the entire platform.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that hurts. And on top of that, Uncle Howdy, the name is corny to me, and I don't think I'm not interested like I was when it was Bray Wyatt, when it was teasing and you thought, oh, is this Bray Wyatt coming back? This guy that had a name, that had a history of entertaining and being this unique character. This Uncle Howdy, whether it's, you know, this gang of people or Bo Dallas, they're all kind of misfits, that no one really was super invested in. I liked Bo Dallas a little bit when he was back with WWE years ago on the B team and all that other stuff. I thought he was funny, but he never was anywhere near level of his brother. Neither is like Dexter Loomis. I could care less to see Dexter Loomis. We haven't seen him on TV in a year. Like I don't know all the people that are mentioned in that group. Eric Rowan, I'm really not interested in. He had a singles run that didn't really pan out, because he didn't have the
I think
character. So
that
I just don't know how this gang is going to. It's going to be very hard to deliver, and maybe when it happens, we will change our tune and be like, "Wow, that was crazy."
I just think
Maybe, but it just doesn't. It's going to be hard.
don't you feel like the best way to do this thing would be like to roll out like one member at a time, like every week. Not every week, but like I mean, this has been almost like a 3 month build up here. Like, hey, like every 3 weeks, right? You introduce a new character, right? And like this dude, like Eric Rowan shows up, right, in the ring, like with just like I don't know, like covered in like fucking blood or something like that. Like something like just like creepy, like something like wild, right?
Yeah,
Like something just out of or like with the music playing, like Bray Wyatt's music playing, right? And he's holding Sister Abigail's like the lantern or something like that. And it
yeah,
happens like that. I think that kind of build. I don't know if you want to tap into like the Bray Wyatt stuff like that early because he has passed and stuff like that, but like they are already. Why not? Why not go fully in and just play the music
yeah,
and dude, people would be the lights would be lit up, right? Like you would get that different response like every single night. And I think that would be like much better than what they're doing right now. I don't know.
yeah. I would have personally liked to see Bo Dallas, whether he came out as Bo Dallas or his normal name, and he come out, cut a promo about his brother, talk about his brother and his family, and give a genuine, like, heartfelt thing where he says his piece about his brother, thanks the fans, does this whole thing, and then gets attacked by somebody out of nowhere, and then develop that attack and that rage from this over time. Like maybe he gets into a feud with someone that attacked him, and next thing you know, it's like they're bringing this character, this dark character out of him that we don't want to necessarily see. He's going to go to the dark side and be this Bray Wyatt type of character. He's also on that level. You know what I mean? Like for him to come out, I just don't want to see that mask. I don't know. Maybe though I hope it's great. I really do. But it just like we are saying, it's gonna be very difficult to make it live up to the hype and to deliver. It's just they're setting themselves up for failure, I feel like.
Well, I mean, they're so invested. It feels like they feel like they have something here. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. So let's get to now. I want to talk briefly about the A Town Down Under and a little bit of a chink in the armor this week. I thought the match between Austin Theory, I thought Austin Theory's match was very good. I thought he showcased what he can do in the ring. We've talked about what he can do in the ring, but during the match against Tommaso Ciampa, they have some talking going outside, and he gets insulted by um,
Grayson
Grayson
Waller.
Waller, and kind of turns and was like, "What are you saying? Like, why would you say something like that?" And ends up costing him the match. And so it's just like a chink in the armor. It's something that's happening now that it seems to be them like leading towards a breakup and a possible maybe babyface run for Austin Theory. I guess my question is if a run as a heel, it's easier to be a heel than it is to be a babyface. If a run as a heel isn't working, how is a run as a babyface going to work for Austin Theory? I feel like they're still not really giving them much of a direction. It seems like this DIY feud is dead in the water. I'm not really like interested in it. I feel like there's so much untapped potential with Austin Theory, and I've said that for a long time. But at the end of the day, if they can't deliver, like it's just never going to work. Like when are we going to get this kid rolling?
Well, he has been. Look, I mean, he's been good at some point in his career, right? There's a reason why he had the U.S. title. There's a reason why he was wrestling John Cena at SummerSlam, right? Like or at
And
WrestleMania.
yeah, and they're the
Um,
tag champs now. He has this title. I yeah,
so
there's talent there. There's no doubt. I just am not. I want like a decent storyline.
Yeah, I just don't know. I think they're trying to figure out, and it might be the one thing they're getting wrong here. With Austin Theory is like, where does he fit in? And we thought that whole Grayson Waller thing would kind of feed into the ego, right? And kind of like really kind of bloom out. And it just feels like it just hasn't. Because I don't really think Grayson Waller is like a great.
I'm not in on Grayson Waller. I'm
No,
out on him, dude. I don't, I'm
yeah.
not a fan. I don't think he's that good at all.
There's
I think he's
there's
just annoying.
there's nothing in the ring that like even makes me think that he's actually a decent wrestler. Um,
There's
on the
nothing
other,
on the mic that I've particularly cared for in a long time.
I still love the Grayson Waller show, but whatever. The Grayson Waller effect, it's still decent. I like that. But they canceled it pretty much. It's not even existent. Um, but like I do think that Austin Theory is a really good wrestler. I think he has so much potential. I think they got to figure out what they want to do with him. Are they going to turn him into some like sort of like I don't know, like Hulk Hogan-ish, like all-American boy now? Like, or what are they going to do with him?
No, I don't know. I honestly I feel like they should get ahead of it and have Austin turn on Waller and say, Waller, you be the baby face, and just Austin just kind of take him out and beat him, and then become this like heel that attacks people. And I feel like he needs to do a little bit of the Bron Breakker style. He needs to do a little bit of the, a little bit more cutthroat, a little bit more extreme, a little bit more
I
like
think he needs. I think he really.
vicious.
I think he needs to get rid of like the whole conceited like type of like
Yeah. Serious. Be serious. I want some
just.
seriousness, whatever it is.
I don't need the A-Town down stuff. Like just cut the music, go straight to the fucking ring, do your thing, take care of your business, and fucking get out.
Yeah. I'm here to
Do it.
kick ass and chew bubble
Do
gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Yeah, do it for 3 months. Let's see where you're at, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. I, I,
Go
I like that. And we'll see what happens, but it seems like they're starting that split. All right. Let's get to our last one of the night. And we're gonna be talking about the Alpha Academy, Master Gable, Sami Zayn, Otis. Um, they're really giving these guys a lot of time on this story. And I will say this, as much as it hasn't really been perfect, every person involved in this storyline is giving it everything they got. Like they are pouring everything they can into this. Maxine Dupree, I think, is doing a great job. Gable is going for it. I think he could do a little less
You said that
sometimes.
last week. You said that
Yeah.
last 2 weeks.
And I still feel that way, but I think that
I th- I
the
think that
story is really setting up.
no, I really think that they're telling him to go completely overboard. I really do feel like that's like his direction is like, hey, dude, you have to get people to hate you, you need to go fucking super, super asshole and super over. And I think that's why you feel like it's too much, but like you also dislike it.
True.
So I think that's working. So then um I think that might be the route that they're telling them to go. I love the storyline. I love that Gable is finally really getting something tangible, something really to work with. And like I was thinking about this today, right? Like so Gable has been like a mid-quarter his entire life, if that, right? And you see like these guys that have gone to AEW in the past, Adam Cole specifically, right? Who was like heralded as like a really good worker, right? And just like never really got a shot. And I'm curious, is that true or not?
He just was in NXT, but NXT was a different world back then. He was the guy. He was the
Right.
guy in NXT.
So I'm just curious as to like if he were actually to really just trust what he was doing and where he was at, I'm just curious as to where he would be at this point, right?
Adam
Like in his
Cole.
yeah. Like I'm not saying that like he would be in some sort of like look, he was him and MJF were in a main event. Like they they did a pay-per-view that was absolutely one of the better pay-per-views probably of the year, right? Like that they main evented. But I'm just curious as to just how it would have turned out for him or any other wrestlers that decided to leave the WWE when they weren't really getting involved in storylines. Because with Chad Gable and Otis and Tozawa and like they're all involved in this like nice, this really good storyline that people are really invested in, right? And there's a lot of those storylines that are going on within the WWE right now that I think are really pertinent to how the business is run and how people are really invested in what the WWE product is right now. So I mean, I don't know. I love like how Otis is being portrayed. I love the thought of like where Otis is going to go. Is he going to betray? Is he going to betray Gable? Is he going to turn on him? Is he going to stay true to him? Like stuff like that. And like Otis is a mid Carter. Like he's not even a mid Carter. He's probably below a mid Carter. Gable is a totally mid Carter that has been elevated almost to a main eventer because of how he's carried himself now over the course of the last 6 months, right? Like it's just interesting to see like how these characters have been really progressing since Vince has left. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. And I would say if I were to guess somewhere where Cole would be now, I mean, he was Triple H's boy. Like he was like a golden child for Triple H. And you see where Gargano and Ciampa are. They were the lesser of that. They were definitely up top at the NXT, but lower than I would say where Adam Cole's marquee was. I would say Cole would be somewhere involved with like a Kevin Owens and a Sami Zayn, maybe teamed up with them or involved in that somehow, where he was like one of their guys and they're developing a friendship there that maybe turns. That's where I would say Cole is. And I want to say too about Gable. I don't hate Gable's character because he's, I think, doing too much. I just think he's doing too much. Like, I don't dislike his character. I enjoy a heel. I like the heels. So I like things they're doing. I get frustrated when I feel like it can be done better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Like
Yeah.
I remember thinking about Triple H back when he first started. I always think about him, how good he was, because I remember I legitimately hated him. The Dudley Boys, I remember I like actually hated them. And I was like, man, that's how good they were. They really got me to actually hate them. And Gable, I love Gable and I want him to be successful in this heel run, but I think he's giving it his all and it's starting to pay dividends. Like I still feel like he could tone it back a little bit, but I where do you want Otis to go with this? You saw the reaction these last couple weeks with him, his potential turn, and the crowd goes crazy. And they're going nuts. And oh my gosh, this is gonna happen. And they really, I know it's been going on for a little bit now, but it really hasn't been going on that long,
I think
since Montreal. So like, is the money in, let's prolong this, let's have them really really begging for it. I think
nah.
Otis should help Gable win the title
Yeah,
and
yeah,
have Gable hold it for a while, be this complete jerk off for months and just belittle, 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 belittle. And months from now, you finally say, Otis has had enough. And he
yeah.
turns, and it will be a frenzy, that crowd, when it happens.
No, that's I mean, look, we've revisited the storytelling on this show how many times about how great they've done a job of really just like kind of not just storytelling, but like just long-term storytelling and figuring out like, hey, what really is going to get the audience going? And like the audience right now is expecting Otis to turn.
Right.
And I
Don't give
think,
it to him.
yeah, I think it would be really, and if you want to make this storyline like bigger than it needs to be, then let it fester and
Yeah.
let it keep playing out and let Gable continue to get heat and build the heat. And I think at some point, like where like you have a face, you have a baby face or something like that, you have a really like let's say maybe it's Austin Theory, right? Like where you really want to get a guy over, and all of a sudden 6 months down the line, it's Austin Theory versus Chad Gable for the IC title,
Or an LA Knight or
or
something
an,
like
yeah,
that.
and all of a sudden Otis turns and helps out. Oh, dude, that would be an absolute spot. That would be enormous because people
Yeah.
have been fevering for that, like just wanting that for months. So, I mean, you do have that in Otis because he's such a lovable dude.
Right. As much as we said he's a mid to low Carter guy, as far as a lovability, he's top level because he's just naturally
Yeah.
got that you cheer for him. You want it, he's funny, he's goofy, he's big, he's fat, you're like, I like this guy.
You're not, yeah, his character will never be compromised. Like they'll always think like he's always in the back of everyone's head, they're going to be like, he really wants to do the right thing, but
Right.
he's under his thumb. So I think that's really the thing that you have with Gable and with Otis is like you have that kind of dynamic, which is you can play both sides really well.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see. I mean, they're doing a great job. A lot of wonderful storylines going on right now, and we're just excited to be able to see it and see where it goes. Remember, we have the Clash at the Castle coming to you, not this weekend, but the following from Scotland. The crowd's going to be hot. The card's setting up to be another great card for the WWE. Will there be titles that change hands? Will there be appearances by Uncle Howdy and the crew? Will AJ Styles? Who knows what's
No
going to
one knows,
happen?
Tom. No one knows.
No one knows, but know that we're going to be here to cover it all. Timmy, this is going to bring us to the end of yet another episode of Jabroni Drive. I want to thank everyone out there that's been listening. If you're not already doing it, give us that follow, that subscribe, that share. Tell your friends, tell your family. Anything you want to say to all the Schmidt and Lavellites out there before we sign off?
Tom, everyone knows that this episode was just
Sweet!
and everyone knows when you listen to Jabroni Drive that you are a jabroni or
Life. People that listen to Jabroni Drive are jabronis for life. We love all the jabronis out there. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget you can call us at 215-948-6546. New episodes every week. Till next time, for Timothy Schmidt, my name's Tom Lavelle. We hope you have a great weekend. We love you. Peace!
dun, dun, dun.